Good morning, Malaysia. This is Matthias Chang once again from Future Fast Forward. Today I'm going to talk about two new issues and we'll revisit an old issue that some people are keep harping, and I believe there is a ulterior motive. Be that as it may, over the last 1.5 weeks, I've been thinking and reading up on my research as to why our country is in such a state of affairs. We have been told repeatedly, when Tun Mahathir was the Prime Minister, under Vision 2020, our country will be a united country. We aim to be a developed country by 2020, and we will have a united nation. And all of us are Malaysians, and we will be proud to be part of Bangsa Malaysia. But recently, I believe that commands by some leaders across the political divide have seemed to have second doubts, second thoughts about the need to put Malaysia first and to be Malaysian second. I refer to the issue of people being slighted by the criticism of Tun Mahathir that since Najib Razak was involved in money laundering, global theft and racketeering, as evidenced by the DOJ civil suit and now pending criminal proceedings, the criminal proceedings of the Attorney General of Switzerland, and various conviction in Singapore, whereby all fingers and all evidence point to the fact that 1MDB, led by Najib, is a criminal syndicate. Most astonishingly, 1MDB, led by Najib, has openly admitted and confessed to crimes having been committed by 1MDB. There's no dispute, please. Notwithstanding IGP and the AG of Malaysia, Tan Sri Pandey, saying that no crimes have been committed by 1MDB. Therefore, there's no more need for further investigation. Let me tell you once again, I have repeatedly said so. 1MDB, with the consent of the Attorney General and with the consent of Najib, the Prime Minister, being the sole authority of 1MDB, has admitted and confessed to the crimes, of money laundering and blatant contravention of Bank Negara's direction as to the investment and money laundering of 1MDB, and that they need to repatriate those monies diverted unlawfully, illegally to other countries in other accounts. And because Bank Negara could not prosecute, because AG refused to, they came up with a compromise. Impose a fine that is allowed under the Financial Services Act 213 on 1MDB, on the proviso, 1, that offence has been committed, and 2, AG has consented to the imposition of the fine. Recap, a fine can be imposed by 1MDB by Bank Negara if a crime has already been committed under the provisions of the Financial Services Act and AG has consented. And 1MDB, by public statements which I referred to in my previous videos, have agreed to pay the fine. And once fine has been paid, that means they have confessed and agreed to plead guilty to the offence. Mengaku salah, habis cerita. Alright? And 1MDB could not pay the fine without knowledge and consent of 1MDB. Therefore, Tun is right to say that Najib reminds him of those pilots those criminals, right? Those bogus criminals are pirates. Nothing wrong with that. So if you're not a pirate, you're not a crook, a criminal, right? Why should you be angry or be slighted? There have been many pirates for various reasons, races, right, throughout the whole world. English pirates, French pirates, Chinese pirates, Buddhist pirates. And may I just say to you, and I'm going to quote it from Wikipedia, piracy in the Straits of Malacca. Check, Google Wikipedia. Piracy in the Straits of Malacca was not only a lucrative way of life, but also an important political tool. Rulers relied on the religious pirates to maintain control. For example, it was through the loyalty of pirate crews made of orang laut people that the 14th century Palembang prince Praswara survived expansion attempts by neighboring rulers and eventually went to found the Sultanate of Malacca. Piracy was also mentioned in Chinese texts. For example, the 14th century traveller Wang Dayuan, okay, he mentioned about pirates in the Straits of Malacca. All right, and then in the book called explaining this famous pirate called Liang Daoming. All right, he hailed from Guangdong province and was of a Cantonese descent. And according to Ming records, had thousands of followers and sizable military contingent in Palembang. And he was acknowledged by the Ming Emperor and protected by Admiral Ching Ho at material time. So, if I'm not a pirate and not a crook, and someone condemned this pirate, Liang Daoming, should I be offended? Surely not. For some strange reason, some Bugis still maintain they are slighted by the reference of Najib to be a Bugis pirate. So why should any other Bugis, who is not a criminal, who is not from the DNA, who has no DNA linkage to Bugis pirates, why should be slighted? Because there's also one aspect of Bugis community which are historically stated by the Encyclopedia of World Culture. May I say this? The Bugis is not just all honorable people, because history shows very clearly they are not as honorable as some people proclaim them to be. By the 16th century, the Makassar challenged the Bugis for dominance of the region and prevailed in the 7th century. In 1667, the Bugis allied with the Dutch colonialists, repeat that, allied with the Dutch colonialists to overthrow the Makassar, okay, their rivals, and establish a powerful kingdom that endured through the Dutch period. And during this time, there were Bugis who allied with Makassar, ran away from the massacre and the wars inflicted by the Bugis in conjunction with their Dutch colonial allies. And that's how these Bugis took power in Malaysia. And the same encyclopedia, it says, because of the weakness of the small coastal Malay states, led to the immigration of Bugis. They seized control of Johor following the assassination of the last Sultan of the old Malacca royal line in 1699. Bugis expanded their power in the present-day Malaysia, states of Johor, Kedah, Perak and Selangor. And in the Malay Peninsula, western areas, the Bugis and the Minangkabau often fought each other. And by 1740, the victorious Buginese ruled many peninsular states and continued to do so until they were defeated by the alliance of Johor and the Dutch in 1784. So, may I ask all those people in Sabah and elsewhere, why are you slighted or by the criticism of Tun Mahathir? Why? If you deny that you have the DNA, that you have the blood of your ancestors who are pirates, right? So you are not pirates, you don't have the DNA of pirates. Are you having the blood and the DNA of the Bugis who are allied with Dutch colonial power to overthrow, oppress and subjugate the Makassars in Indonesia? Or are you having the bloodline and DNA of those Bugis who, behaving like colonialists and were colonialists, like the Portuguese and Dutch and British, came to Malaysia, overthrew the Sultan of Malacca so as to establish their own line? So are you claiming that DNA or that bloodline? If you are, then you're worse than the pirates because you have the DNA of a colonial power. What is that to be so proud to have the DNA of a colonial power? And yet you criticize, you condemn the Portuguese colonialism, the Dutch colonialism, and the British. So if you condemn the British, the Dutch, and the Portuguese for raping our country, subjugating our country, by right, you should also condemn and oppose the colonial subjugation of the Malay states by the Bugis from Indonesia. Therefore, I will ask this MCA, Religious Bureau Chief T. Liang Ke, who criticized DP, alright, so-called for not criticizing Tun Mahathir's criticism of Najib as the Bugis. He's so stupid. He's Chinakwai. Why did he not condemn the red shirts and those extremists who say all immigrants balik kampung, go back to China? Alright? If they are criminals, they ought to go back. But historically, a lot of Chinese came to Malaysia and helped contribute to the development of Malaysia. Why should any Chinese be angry if their DNA, their bloodline, is one of contributing to the development of our country? Well, I'm very glad that some so-called leaders are not harping on their heritage, the so-called Bugis heritage. So I will ask this question. Are we no more Malaysians at all? Or we are just Javanese, Achinese, Bugis, etc.? Hakka, Hokkien, Cantonese, etc.? Bengali, Punjabi, Malayali. If that's what is important, that we identify ourselves as Bugis, Javanese, Achinese, Hakka, Hokkien, Cantonese, Bengali, Punjabi, Malayali. I will ask the question to all of you, especially the leaders. What is the Bangsa Malaysia? What does it mean? What does it mean? Bangsa, Selangor, Perak, and Johor. Don't keep on harping Bangsa this, Bangsa that. I keep on saying we must be patriotic, proud Malaysians and harp on subgroups. Is that fostering national unity? Or a perverted sense of sectarianism? Where are we harking back to our forefathers who has no longer any relevance to Malaysia? Therefore, I will ask any leader, alright, now that some of these leaders in Sabah, Bugis community says, oh, we are slighted. Are you Bugis first or Malaysians? Or are you Muslim first or Bugis first? Tell me. Stop this confusion and declare that we are Bugis first, then go back to Indonesia. But we are Malaysia first, stay in Malaysia. Alright? As a rider to this issue of Bugis being slighted, let me say, Najib is a Bugis. He led a largest kleptocracy, a largest money laundering operation in the form of one MDB. And yet, those who are Bugis, who claim to be Bugis and were slighted, you're also Muslims then. You're also leaders of the Islamic faith. How is it to today I've yet to hear a Muslim leader of Bugis ancestry to come out openly and say and condemn the criminality of an MDB? More so after they have paid the fine and admitted and confessed to their guilt. Sudahlah mengaku salah. Apa lagi cerita? And yet, all these leaders posture and grandstand about leadership, about unity. But not talking about unity of Malaysia as Malaysians, but subgroups. What does the Quran say? What does Allah say? And what does Allah teach us? And what does Quran teach us? Yet none. I stand to be corrected. No leaders, alright, have come forward, Islamic leaders, to condemn one MDB. But instead, we have recently, this man, a deputy minister in the PM's department, Ashraf Wajdi, a self-declared holiest of the holies, saying that he's anti-atheist and atheists should not be protected. Atheism should be outlawed because it will incite people to save their religion, leave their religion, or to profess no religion, and accuse atheists of violating Article 11.4 of the Constitution. Let me ask this numbskull, this hypocrite, which religion guarantees there will be no corruption? Which religion guarantees there will be no crimes committed by anyone? Are you saying that because you're a Muslim, a Christian, a Buddhist, or a Hindu, you're far superior on terms of morality, values, that you will not commit crimes by virtue of being a religious person? Let me remind this numbskull deputy minister, I challenge the debate. Alright? Ashraf Wajdi, is it your name? I challenge you to a public debate and I dare you to take up the challenge. Because you say atheism should be outlawed, by implying they're immoral, has no character, cannot be trusted, they violate the Constitution. Well, let me ask you this question. Despite Islam being the official religion of this country, can you explain why a former Sharia judge, Hassan Basri Shafi, was jailed for 6 years by the Court of Appeal for corruption? Doesn't that throw your case utterly, right, to a cesspool? You're so self-righteous, you know. So you're without sin, is it? You're without sin. You're so moral, all right? You're on a moral high ground. That you being a Muslim is not a binding of the highest value as compared to atheists. Let me remind you, you numbskull, you hypocrite. There are many atheists I know who will not tolerate and have said so openly against the Najib regime, has condemned one MDB, having pleaded guilty to the crime, and you, having declared so holy, so righteous, I challenge you. Now that what MDB has admitted guilt to the crime, paid the fine with the consent of the Attorney General, Najib, with the consent of Najib, why have you not condemned on MDB, demand the arrest via Interpol of the China Kwaijolo and other people involved? Tell me. Our Prime Minister says he has received Saudi money. Today, that Prince Turkey has been arrested for corruption. What have you to say? We don't know the history, but since Saudi Arabia, being under the Wahhabis, are the custodian of Mecca and Medina, I am sure you agree they are the leaders of the Islamic world. And you used to follow them, didn't you? Now, under the new ruler, they have whacked Al-Walid bin Talal, the billionaire, and other princes for financing, supporting ISIS, Al-Qaeda. And they're all Muslims, all Muslims. So what you have to say? You scumbag? Huh? What you have to say? Don't pontificate. You're a numbskull, you're a hypocrite. I may remind you, Deputy Minister, under the Quran and the Hadith, if you're a hypocrite, you may even pray 5 times a day, you're not a true Muslim. So I suggest you shut up, zip up, or else come to me in public opening, public debate, and see who is right, who is wrong. Stop confusing non-Malays and non-Muslims about the truth, about the righteousness of Islam. You have distorted the true teachings of Islam. Alright? So repent, go to mosque and repent and ask for mercy from Allah. Because you have, what you've done is distort the image of Islam and what Islam teaches. Okay? Let me just end here on this issue. If you're a true believer in Allah, you can recognize the goodness of people anywhere, despite they having a different religion. I repeat, you will be able to identify and empathize with goodness of any other person beyond your own community. Alright? Don't you ever dare try to wear your religion on the lapel and say, I'm a Muslim and therefore, whatever you mean, therefore. Do not ever use yourself as a yardstick, because you're not free of sin. Alright? It's on Judgment Day that Allah will decide who are sinners and who are not. And yet today, you dare pontificate and pass judgment. You have no authority under the Quran or the Hadith to make such judgment call. I therefore label you categorically, you're a hypocrite. Alright? You have no basis to accuse any person that they will incite people to leave their religion or to incite people to leave or promote no following of any religion. And you better say, anyone who tries to spread ideologies and doctrines that promote atheism and similar beliefs which touch the sanctity of others can be charged under the Sedition Act. So, there are Muslims who support ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and Muslim killing Muslims. Is that an incitement to destroy the Ummah? What is your stand on ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and the slaughter of Muslims by Muslims in Syria and Iraq? They've done worse than atheists. Show me the atheists that have incited people to kill each other. Show me one. There are so many cases in Syria and Iraq. Show me one case in Syria and Iraq. And yet you dare make this statement? Who the hell are you? Numbskull. You're an insult to Islam. Now finally, I will come to another point. Over the last 1.5 weeks, I've been researching as to who is planning within UMNO to put, metaphorically, the knife behind the back of Najib. I won't mention name, but I will hint to you, there are one person within UMNO's camp who's likened to, if you have read Shakespeare and the famous play Othello, who's like Iago, I-A-G-O. Okay. So who is the villain, Iago, in Najib's crumbling fiefdom? Of course, when we make a parallel between Iago and Othello, there cannot be any exact parallel. But there are certain similarities and characteristics of the UMNO Iago with the Othello Iago in Shakespeare's play. Now, let me tell you how to identify this man, okay? This man, this Iago UMNO, his strength is disgustingly adept at craftily ruining lives. His weakness, truly evil and therefore unlikable. Okay? Now, if you know the play Othello, Iago is very jealous of Othello, who is a Moor. Of course, I'm not comparing Othello to Najib. Najib is not a Moor. He's a Bugis. Alright? But I'm using the play Othello to expose a very evil person. And this evil person is going to betray Najib. Well, I suppose this is his karma. In that story, Othello, the play by Shakespeare, Iago was jealous of Othello, his own boss, but was very angry and jealous and envious of his colleague Cassio. Because Othello promoted Cassio to be Othello's lieutenant, right-hand man, over him. When he was so loyal, so loyal, right? But actually, he was the most insidious, sinister villain in history. Why? Because he gave a picture of being very honest, very loyal. While being honest and loyal, he was sharpening the knife to plunge and to frame his colleague. That's what he did. He planted, not that this was happening in Malaysia or in UMNO, but a story in Othello, one part of it was so vile and evil that exposes the mind of this Iago. He even accused the wife of Othello, Desdemona, of having illicit affair with Cassio. To the extent Othello was so driven by rage, together Iago killed Desdemona. Alright? But I'm not saying this will happen in Malaysia. I'm saying the Iago in UMNO, alright, bears other characteristics of Iago in Othello. Okay? And throughout the ages, scholars and political analysis have used Iago as a benchmark to identify evil within an organization. And this is what they say. Iago is one of Shakespeare's most sinister villains, often considered such because of the unique trust that Otello places in him. Pause here. Think, who Najib placed trust, okay, within his lieutenants, which he betrays while maintaining his reputation for honesty and dedication. Iago is a Machiavellian schemer and manipulator, as is often referred to as honest Iago, displacing his skill at deceiving other characters, so that not only do they not suspect him, but they count on him as the person most likely to be truthful. A critic called Miss A.C. Bradley says that evil has nowhere else been portrayed with such mastery as in the evil character of Iago, and also states that he stands supreme among Shakespeare's evil characters because the greatest intensity and subtlety of imagination have gone into his making. In discussing the tragedy of Otello, scholars have long debated Iago's role. And Bradley writes that Iago illustrates the most perfect combination of two facts concerning evil, which seems to have impressed Shakespeare the most. The first being that the fact that perfectly sane people exist in whom fellow feelings of any kind is so weak that an almost absolute egoism becomes possible to them. With the second being that such evil is compatible and even appears to ally itself easily with exceptional powers of will and intellect. So, can you see? Scholars from the ages and pundits have used Iago as a benchmark to identify how evil personifies itself, how evil plan and conspire to overthrow their boss or king. And there are two characteristics. They seem very sane. They act and behave sane, in a sane manner. Quite often very honest and very loyal. But the ego, driven by ego because they were either slighted or they think everyone below them is below them, or below Iago, that he's far superior. Driven by their ego, they plot behind the veneer of loyalty and dedication. Okay? And then secondly, such evil is easily camouflaged by the so-called intellect which they portray. So now, Najib, think about it. Think about it. See, you are the one who always say, I'd rather have loyal but not smart followers. Loyal but not smart followers. And here, throughout history, Shakespeare used the play Otello to teach everyone that people like Iago, loyal, dedicated, and more importantly, portray the image of honest, praising his boss is actually in his heart black, evil, conniving, and would kill anyone in their path just so they can ascend the ladder of power. And they will camouflage themselves, alright, with the intellect. Why they can camouflage with the intellect? Because the people around them are all idiots. Stupid idiots. In the land of the blind, one eye is king, you know. So can you see why? Having chosen loyal but not smart people, most of the people around Najib are actually ignoramus, idiotic, stupid. That's why this guy, this Iago in UMNO, can survive for so long. Because among the stupid, he seems to be bright. long-serving, dedicated, and he drums the gong, all thunder, make noise, declare loyalty, and attack the so-called enemies of his boss. So, I therefore ask all Malaysians, count your blessings, because there are two currents right now in Malaysia. One, the external current of people rising up to oppose the evil regime. And there's another current, the inner current within UMNO, personified by the UMNO Iago, that will destroy that regime. And this is recently most aptly illustrated by what happened in Zimbabwe. The people kept their anger, their hatred in their hearts. They didn't respect or loved Mugabe because he was so corrupt. He raped and robbed the country. But because the other two colleagues who were with him from the very beginning, one, the military chief, the other is vice president, who pledged loyalty to him, he thought he could continue ruling Zimbabwe. And then Mugabe's wife became so ambitious, thought she could take over. But the other two were so stupid. They knew that would happen. So they plotted. In the meantime, they declared their loyalty, dedication, being honest, what have you. The last moment, bang! They deposed Mugabe, demolished the wild dreams of the wife of Mugabe. The second wife of Mugabe. Alright? The second wife. Okay? Driven by ambition, greed. So, let me say to everyone, the event in Zimbabwe is not an isolated incident. Throughout history, such evil leaders will ultimately be betrayed by the evil within their own organization. So rest assured, my dear fellow Malaysians, that Allah works in mysterious ways. I have already identified to you and hinted to you who is Iago in UMNO. And I hope UMNO members will see him and then realize how evil is both the leader of the regime and this Iago. It's time they stand up, walk away from evil, repent, and do good by the country, by king, and by the flag. Because I can guarantee you, if you do evil, the karmic consequences of evil is such, is beyond the imagination of the perpetrators of evil. Enormous consequences, I can guarantee you. Because if you read the Quran, it says very clearly, no way can evil triumph. No way. At every instance, when evil is about to triumph or have a victory against the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, Allah intervened and destroyed the evil. When all this looks hopeless, that is when Allah challenges all of us, whether we have faith and whether we will surrender our will to Him completely. And each time you read the whole Quran, At every major battle, when the prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, was facing defeat or destruction, he kept faith. And what happened? The enemies were destroyed. So, to my fellow Malaysians of all faiths, your scriptures also show you that God will intervene and save the people. So once again, before I conclude my address this morning, rest assured, surrender yourself completely to the will of Allah. Have absolute faith that He will protect, defend, and guide us under all circumstances in the face of all enemies, adversities, and challenges. Just surrender. Because He knows everything. He owns everything. I repeat, He owns everything in this world. You can have billions. The power of the military, the power of the police, the courts, whatever. The evil person or the regime assumes he owns that power. He owns the instrument of power and abuse of power. But let me say to all of you, read your scriptures. The one person who owns everything is the Almighty Creator, the one and only true God. And He will take it away from the evil hand as surely as the sun will rise up tomorrow. Because He owns everything. Right? God is all-seeing, all-knowing. He knows what's happening. When the time comes, He will take it away. You think when an evil guy, a leader dies, will the billions follow him to his grave? Will the power of the military, the police, or whatever follow him to the grave? Nothing follows him. It stops there. He ends up in a cesspool of shit. But all of us, law abiding, the faithful, will be liberated. Will be liberated. So, to conclude today's address, I urge all of you, more than ever, in this dark hour, pray with all your might and soul and mind. Ask and implore, beseech Allah to intervene. Save us from this evil. And your prayers and my prayer will be answered. If you're not sure that what I'm saying is correct, read your Quran, read your Bible, read your Bhagavad Gita, read your Dhammapada. I guarantee you, there are passages which give you assurance. Faith does not just appear. You must experience God's grace, God's blessing, and God's gift to all of us when we are in difficulties, when we are in crisis. Have you not answered our prayers? Therefore, besides praying, I must ask all Malaysians to also give thanks to Allah for all the past promises that He has delivered, for all the past gifts He has given, all the past grace and blessings He's given to us, and He will continue to give us His grace, blessing, and protection. Therefore, have faith the people will triumph. The Najib and the Iagos will be demolished and wiped away, because they have false egos like Iago. Alright? Wrong perception of their worth, the boogies' worth. When although there are boogies who are traders, seafarers, they have also a history of piracy, murder and slaughter of the sultans of old in Malaysia before they took power in Malaysia. Nothing to shout about. What's there to shout about? Your heritage. when what is more important is being an upright believer in your religion. Yet, none of these people talk about that issue of love, right? And devotion to Allah, and how our faith in Almighty will deliver us. Isn't it sad? So sad. And they pride themselves to be leaders. So I would like to conclude once again. No more Malaysians. We are now Javanese, Acehnese, Bugis, Hakka, Hokkien, Cantonese, Bengali, Punjabi, Malayali. What are we? So don't talk about bangsa this, bangsa that, and preach unity when action, false pride, false injury exposes them to be really hollow. This is how God exposes people. Be humble. Follow the righteous path to the glory of the promised land as promised by Allah. With that, I thank you all for your attention, and I bid you a good day. God bless you. Thank you.